And I'm glad both you and Amy said the full name of it, so I can just refer to it as CLOC-SAT, from here on out. So I'm happy to give this relatively quick community update on behalf of my co-chair, Carly Peters, and the entire CLOC-SAT team. Next slide, please. So the big important thing is that the report is now available online. There's a QR code there. I'll bring it up on my final slide as well. And we can also put the link in the chat. It was put in earlier, but we can refresh that. And like Amy said, the report and several of these key tables from the report are available on the league website in a very accessible manner. Next slide. The report itself is broken up into this structure, executive summary, introduction, and then there's this key how to use this document that has those tables that really connect the different sections. The team worked very hard and came up with a large number of topical findings. You can see 40 from the science and exploration section, 19 from the implementation approaches and architecture section, and 10 from the measurement approaches section. And all of these findings are detailed with justification and detailed write-ups. In addition, we have 9 overarching findings, and I'll highlight some of these here. But the structure of this report was really to address the why, how, and what of what we need to do and what we still can do from lunar orbit. Next slide. The overarching findings are broken up into 4 categories. The first category are lunar orbital needs. As Amy mentioned, there is this need for continuity of capabilities, that there, when one mission is getting ready to end, there needs to be the next mission ready to continue those critical measurements, and overlapping is even better. The second finding is that there is a need for a long duration LRO class satellite, and I think we'll hear more about an approach to that from the Goddard team that are looking at the LEXO orbiter next. Third finding is that even with one of those large scale orbiters, there are other approaches that can actually benefit from other approaches, including small sats and different types of orbits. Next slide. In terms of science and exploration helping each other, there are 3 findings in this area. One is that there's a strong need for extremely high resolution observations that can help with landing site, in particular, planning CONOPS and things like that. But there is also still a need for global data sets, and there's a large number of data sets that either have techniques that have new capabilities that can really advance them, or we just don't have the global data sets for them yet. So those are also needed. And then there's also a temporal capability needed as well, because the moon does change over periods from days to months to years, and is definitely going to change both from natural and anthropogenic activities moving forward. Next slide. There are 2 findings related to preparing for the future. In particular, it's important that NASA and other agencies are supporting new technologies that make large leaps over the existing generation of remote sensing capabilities, and also that recognizing that these next generation capabilities acquire far more data than what we've sent up before, and there's a critical need for having downlink architecture to get all that data back to Earth. Next slide. And then the final finding is also one that Amy touched on, and that's that it's really important that the orbital capabilities remain part of all of these strategies, both the NASA's integrated lunar strategy and also the things that we're seeing out at the OTP office. Yeah, so I think those are the overarching findings. Before I wrap up, I did want to highlight one more activity on the next slide, and this is related to LEXO, that the CLOC-SAT team is still around. We're not like, the founding fathers where you have to interpret what we wrote. We're happy to provide our opinions on request. And in this case, the LEXO team requested a league that we distill some of the information for them. And Amy tasked a subset of the CLOC-SAT panel to do that. And we basically took the information we had about their architecture and gave them the 6 areas and a number of example measurements that could be done in those areas that should be considered with equal priority from LEXO. So all of these areas have the possibility of doing transformational science from a platform like LEXO. And we really look forward to seeing what the community suggests in these areas. And let's go to the final slide. And this is just a summary. Once again, there's the QR code. I also want to say, and Amy hinted at this, that this was a community SAT. We did it a different way. We tried to engage the community at every step, from a public kickoff to having draft documents and getting feedback. And now if we really want to keep that community aspect going, so the community using the report is probably the best way that you can say, hey, League, we like this approach and do more of this in the future. So thank you very much.